Hey guys, today we're going to be building out an app in a framework called Tauri. Tauri is a framework for building tiny, fast binaries for all major desktops and mobile platforms. And the way it does this is it's kind of novel. They use web views in order to display the UI, and they use Rust in order to do all of the backend logic that's required across the different platforms. And all of the code's reusable because Rust is able to cross compile to all these different frameworks. Obviously, not all of the APIs are cross-compatible. Like in Windows, you use the Windows API. In iOS, there's APIs that they have created to actually do a lot of the logic for it. But it's super, super useful. So let's jump right into it. So firstly, yeah, Tori's a framework. Yep. So the first thing that we're wanting to do is to go to the getting started page on the Tauri website. You can do that by Googling for Tauri. And we're going to want to download Tauri. Now, you can do this in whatever package manager you like. You can do this using Bash, which I think is what we'll do here. So fire up a terminal. I'm just going to use the one in cursor to do that. And I will drop uh, this into the right project folder, and we'll run this command, and then it'll start downloading and creating the app. Now, if you're on Windows, there's going to be a few other things that you're going to need to do to get the tooling set up, right? Like you'll have to install Rust up and a bunch of other different Rust tooling in order to make it work. But if you're on Mac, it should just work out of the box, and all of the tooling should install as you go. I am going to install TypeScript. I'm going to try PNPM. It's not one that I'm really familiar with, but I want to just try something different. And it's going to ask you to choose your UI. I'm going to go with Svelte here because Svelte's really great for building UIs, in my opinion. I think it's a better alternative for React. So we'll go with that. We'll also choose TypeScript for our UI. Um, just another thing to note is that you don't have to go with any of these things that I've selected. There are so many different ways of building out in Tauri, which may or may not be a good thing because it seems that there'll probably be a lot to support, but I think that they're having more flexibility is good. So go with whatever you want. For me, this, even though I've written that this is my first Tauri app, it's not really my first Tauri app. Like it's like my third, but let's jump into it. So we'll just install all the dependencies as they've said. And I don't have PNPM installed, so I installed that. And now that that's installing, kind of like the UI for PNPM. I think it's kind of cool. So the next thing we've got to do is just install all the dependencies. So now that those dependencies are installed, I'm just going to change directories real quick and open the project in another terminal. Just do that real quick. And now that we've changed into this directory, we're going to be asked if we want to install these extensions. We're just going to click install, which will give us the Svelte and the Rust extensions that we need. And now we're going to look at the command that we need to run. So I think to get started, we've got to run Tauri. We've already run Tauri in it. So yeah, in it. iOS, no. iOS, no, not Tauri in it. Tor, I think PNPM Tauri iOS. I think if we change this to iOS and then init, that should do it. Yeah, that's the command. Cool. So now that that's running, I assume it's going to just go through and set up all of these toolkits that we need to actually go and build the IPA, which is the bundle for iOS. And that's probably going to take a little bit of time. One of the things which, because I've built with Tauri before, I know that they don't have hot reload between the Rust and the web view. So the web view hot reloads, but the backend doesn't. So I wonder if it's going to be the same going into it in this one. So yeah, it's installing the cocoa pods, which is all typical stuff. You have to do this on React Native as well, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we do. It goes through and installs it. All right, that's cool. Okay, and it's done successfully now. Make cool apps. I will. I will indeed. So now I'm hoping that if we run this dev command, it's going to just install it directly on iOS dev. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it'll install it on the simulator. Cool, so we'll run it onto the simulator, which I've already got up here, just to make it easy. If you don't have the simulator open, it'll just open by itself. But yeah, also you've got to have Xcode installed, guys. So if you don't have Xcode installed, none of this is going to work for you. So that's probably the first step. I'm coming from doing React Native and native dev, so I have that already installed on my machine. And then the other thing to notice is in the bottom here, we've got like this Rust analyzer and the cargo check. And these things seem to be going crazy, but that's probably because it's looking for all of those Rust packages in order to actually go and compile for dev. We'll go through the project and how it all works in a moment. I just want to get this app up and running. Oh, the suspense is killing me. Okay, so build succeeded, archiving app. Yeah, so it is creating the IPA. And that was pretty quick to actually get it all started. Now let's see, deploying app to device. We should see it come through. There it is. Just like React Native, just like I bought one. So now we can open this up. Let's enter in a name. Hello, Sam, you've been greeted from Rust. Cool. All right, well, let's jump in and start having a muck around and see what we can break or do here. So coming into it, the first thing you're going to see is you've got a set of folders. You've got source and source Tauri. And the difference between these two is your source is for your front end, your source Tauri is for your back end. And you'll also notice that we've got a couple of files here. We've got a cargo toml, and the cargo toml is where your Rust definitions are made. And we'll just expand this out real quick. And I'll go through each of them. We'll just close the terminal as well. So the first thing that you're going to notice is you've got this package here. And the package is basically everything to do with your Tauri app, the versioning. I'm not sure, because I haven't done a release on this, whether the version's going to carry over onto your iOS versioning, but certainly this is how we manage the package for Rust. And the lib is to do with the sorts of crates that are created in Rust. So if you've got a Rust library, it can be in different forms. Like there's static lib, citylib, rlib, and a couple of others. And so this is just specifying that we're just creating something like an application that can be run. The build dependencies, the obviously what Tauri is using to build, and then this Tauri dependency is exactly the same thing as in JavaScript, where you've got your build dependencies and your dependencies. Serde or Serd, or I'm not even sure what it is. That's so that translation between Rust and JSON, if for JavaScript, is very easily done. So that's what that is. So those are the dependencies, and it's pretty simple. Again, we've got a lock file so that we can see how dependency trees are managed and all the rest of it. Very similar to JavaScript. We've got this build.rs, which is internal to Rust to be able to build. And we've got our Tauri config. So the config, pretty much what I've used it for so far has been just to map my icons. So I'm sure it'll be the exact same thing where we need to take the bundle active targets icon and basically change all of the, maybe it's not in static resources, maybe it's in under icons up here. Yep, cool. Yeah, we need to change all of these icons to to be what we want. Currently they're just the standard Tauri ones. And then we've got this dev URL, so we can swap that up if we need to. But let's go into the source now and take a look at, actually no, let's look at the capabilities real quick. Yeah, so capabilities, just the permissions that we have out of the box. I'm not sure what's going to need to be required for actually, maybe this is something Windows specific. Not sure. We'll have to take a look at that. But let's look at source for now. So we've got this HTML, which is where all of our Svelte is going to be rendered to. And Svelte is basically rendered in that sveltekit.body. And we access our Svelte code through this page. And here we're just going to change up some things just to test that it's all working very well. So we'll just change this welcome to my first iOS app with Svelte and Rust. Looks horrible, but it works. And we'll get rid of this welcome to. Still looks horrible, but that's all right. Now the next thing that we're probably going to want to do is to see like how we can change the state, so how we can change the function for entering a name. Now I think maybe it's in this one. I've got to think about this. The coolest, hello, the coolest developer. And I broke it. What's going on here? Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, I'm a dummy. Greet is the name of the function and it's invoking from Rust. So we need to go to Rust. Okay, let's open up our source Tauri. We'll go to main lib, and here we can see our function. So we've got this greet function here, which is being invoked, and this is probably the most important part of the Rust backend, is being able to run the Rust code from this lib.rs file, where we've got the Tauri command, which is a special attribute which is assigned to functions in order to allow them to be read within the invoke of JavaScript. So you can explore how to basically add it on there yourself later, but it's in that invoke handler function on line 11, you've got a generate handler, and if you just basically attach the greet function or any other function that you need within that array, so between the square brackets where greet is, you can add a comma and then another function, and then that will allow you to have multiple backend functions being called. But yeah, we'll just edit this message here. No, it already has my name. Change. You really are the best developer in the world. Yeah, words of affirmation, guys. You gotta have it. Yeah. Okay. So bloody hell. It's still doing the same thing. So basically, what's happening, I bet, in the background is it's rebuilding the package in order to actually make this run. Let's take a look at the command. Yeah. No, not an output. It'll be in my terminal. Yeah, here we go. So it just finished building. That was pretty quick as well. Now let's see what it's doing. Okay, I bet this is going to fire now. I bet it's going to play ball. Let's type it in. Yes, yes. Yes, I really am. Okay, cool. Okay, so I guess the next thing to do is to see if we can push this any further, see what capabilities that we have, because it's never just building the UI which is the problem. It's always the logic. It's one of the things which I hate about React Native is whenever you're trying to do something, it will work on one device, but it won't work on another device. And that's where it's really important to have some sort of APIs. So let's explore and see whether there's like a Rust API or something that we can use to basically access iOS. I know in Windows you've got the access to the native Windows API. Maybe there'll be something in the docs here. My command, blah, 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 invoke. Let's see. Bevy. So this must be what game renderers are using for, because I know that Bevy is a game engine that you can actually generate things for in Rust. So yeah, that must be what this is for. It's saying cargo 2 is used out of the box. This looks just to be with bundling. This doesn't actually have to do with the actual APIs for iOS. Let's take a look here. Let's just try do some notifications. They've got a notification and it's available on iOS. Yes, so these plugins then, these must be their out of the box APIs for being able to build cross-platform. Okay. All right, I'll buy it. Let's kick it in the guts and see what happens. Got the JavaScript that's needed, the Rust that's needed. Okay, we'll add these notifications, and it will start installing. And what's happening in the background is it's just updating both our dependencies for the front end and the back end. And we want to send one to a user, so we'll need this JavaScript in there, and we'll need this Rust in the background. So I'm assuming that I've got to add it in for both of them. We'll just do it. So, okay, what have we got here? Tauri notifications. So we'll take this plugin, we'll jam it in up here. Okay. Then we'll set up add the setup. I think this is gonna be right. There's two of them. Yeah, I'll get rid of that. We'll just have to copy all of this. And get rid of our expect and run there because we don't need that. And then that should all work. Yep. So we'll copy that. And now I think we just go to our JavaScript. So let's see what we got for JavaScript. So now this is like my third time using Svelte as well. It's not a good confession, but I'm not sure how this is gonna go when I actually jump into Svelte. But let's take a look here. It's just been rebuilding for the Rust stuff. So now now just updating this JavaScript should do everything that we need it to do. We just copy this. And I think if we just maybe put this directly into the script here, this should work. And maybe if we click save, there'll be no errors. I'm not sure how to do this await functionality in Svelte. Probably using the effect rune or something like that, which is just like use effect in React, but I don't want to waste too much time on it because I actually just want to get this going and see if this works. So yeah, okay. So it doesn't like that. Let me see if I remove these, what it will do. Okay, it builds, but now it doesn't like the code. No notification. Maybe if we just, I don't know, maybe if we just run the functions by themselves. Yep, okay, and we'll click allow here. Get rid of this. And then we'll click allow here. And then if I send this notification, boom. How good is that? Okay. All right. Well, let's just stroke my ego a little bit there. Master Dev. And yes, I am really the best developer in the whole world. So there you go. I think that that's pretty cool. So I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. I really like Tauri, and the reason I like it is because I think it's going to be the first real competitor to React Native. It's easy to build with Rust, and it's going to be even easier, I think, to interface with the underlying native code, which is something we've seen a lot of issues with, trying to sort of fit a square peg in a round hole with JavaScript. So it's really exciting to be able to see a framework out there that's tackling some of the big development problems, and I can't wait to see what you guys are building. If you guys want to see more cool tools just like this, if you want to see more frameworks, if you want to see more tutorials, the best way to do that is to subscribe to my newsletter, where each week I send out one tutorial, one tool, and one huge piece of news for the week for people who are interested in JavaScript and AI. So definitely subscribe to that one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.